welcome back, and let's welcome our guest. And I'm pleased to announce for the first time she's on set as Mrs. Shamfa Cudjoe Lewis. Good morning and welcome, and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Brother B. Good morning to you. Good morning, Jemani. Good morning to the Tobago Channel 5 family and everybody tuning in. It's a real pleasure to come to you once again.
And I said first time as Mrs. Lewis.
Yes, first time as Mrs. Cudjoe.
Very good. And the runaway thing, I like it. A runaway to Barbados. Yes, runaway bride with your husband and so on. But how was it though? How was it?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. We did our wedding at Sandals in Barbados, Sandals Royal Barbados, and it was quite a nice experience. Every time I go to a Sandals, it burns me on what Tobago could have benefited from that initiative. Well, we're doing the refurbishment and the expansion of the airport, so I hope that opportunity comes to us again. I see St. Vincent doing a Sandals, and other countries in the region doing new Sandals. Brand name hotel is so important to economic development when you're depending on tourism. So I hope that it comes our way. I met the photographer used to be packing plastic bags in a supermarket. So he entered Sandals with simply a willing heart. He didn't know anything about photography. Went through Sandals University and is now one of the best photographers on the island. You know, so when I hear stories from that and you talk to people who came from doing just about not much, didn't have their subjects when they left school, but they were able to make something out of it themselves. I would like to see that type of tourism and human capital development in Tobago. So anyway, yes, it was a beautiful experience.
All right, good. So
well, congratulations too.
Thank you so much.
So let's jump into it. Of course, 4.3% of the budget, Minister, for Tobago, 2.48 4 billion. Of course, adequate, but inadequate according to all of us here in Tobago looking on. How do you feel about that allocation, ma'am?
Okay, as a member of the government and even as a Tobagonian, of course, we all want more. We all want more. As Tobagonians, we want to see more development in Tobago. In the Ministry of Sport, we want more money for development and to do the things that need to be done. I think the reality of it is it's one pie, and the pie has to be shared amongst the 41 constituencies, 2 in Tobago and 39 in Trinidad. And there are some national programs and projects that are done nationally. So in Tobago, there's a certain level of responsibility and autonomy over certain matters. So there's an allocation for that. But we must also tell the full story and show the full picture that there are also a number of items in Tobago that's financed by central government. So I listen to the narrative being shaped and the direction the conversation is going. That gives the impression like this for Tobago and all that for Trinidad. Just because an allocation is made to a ministry, all that money is not being spent in Trinidad only. There are programs and projects that ministries spend on Tobago. Let me give you an example. For instance, Dr. Faith was now here and she's responsible for health and social services. She covers the bill for the majority of stuff in health. But if patients have to go to Trinidad for whatever reason, we don't sit in Trinidad and say, okay, that's a Tobago patient, let me send the bill back to Tobago. Not just that. For social services, food cards in Tobago. The THA has its own little food card program, but for the bulk of the food cards in Tobago, it's covered by the central government, so that would be covered under the Ministry of Social Development budget. Pensioners in Tobago is Dr. Faith, Division of Health and Social Development, handling any of the pensioners in Tobago. No, public assistance grant, disability grant, all of that. So you may look at Ministry of Social Development budget big, yes, but it also covers the recipients in Tobago. So we look at the 648 in additional projects, but that's just some of the spending on the additional. I know in my ministry, for instance, Ministry of Sport and Community Development, National Commission for Self-Help, is that handled by the Tobago House of Assembly, whilst the House of Assembly also has its home refurbishment and its assistance program. I know of people who benefit from the Tobago House of Assembly and from National Commission of Self-Help through my ministry. A couple weeks ago, a matter of fact, about 2 months ago, we distributed roughly $1 million to different families in Tobago. Sports grants. You have persons who are traveling to compete with people doing community projects in Tobago. The funding is coming from is also supported by the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. You don't see that in the lineup among the 648. When we run Empower TT as the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, we have that program also in Tobago. Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition in Tobago. All those type of things. And I'm just speaking for my ministry only.
But
so
all of these things, are those things considered when making the final decision to allocate this?
Yeah, because it is still one country. So the ministries in Trinidad also have some work going on and programs that are national programs that they fund. Let's take, for instance, WASA, water, getting water delivered to your homes, drilling the wells, the Hillsborough Dam project, which was about roughly $80 million or somewhere there. The project that was about $45 million that was done in Signal Hill, lowlands in that area. The 2 wells that are producing water now, and I know the Minister of Public Utilities would speak more about it, lighting of different areas and so on. You don't see that on the list of $648 million, no? But it's coming out of the Ministry of Public Utilities budget, yeah? So at the end of the day, if we're going to tell a story, we have to tell the full story and look at all the different angles and all the spending that is taking place. Of course, I would like to see us get to a place of having that greater autonomy and greater responsibility over the areas and different disciplines in Tobago, and an increased allocation, of course, to go with that.
But those stuff that you listed there, of course, persons would ask for reports, but beyond that, does that justify the allocation of $260 million towards capital development in Tobago?
Now, Jumani, there's another part of the story that you guys aren't telling. When we get the allocation in the ministry, I can't take money from recurrent and spend it on capital, yeah? And when, if I don't use some money on the recurrent, it goes back to the consolidated fund. In the Tobago House of Assembly, they can take money from recurrent and use it on capital, 1. 2, they can also, what they don't use, it's kept as unspent balances and can be used in the other fiscal year to do capital development. Let me ask you, because you talk about accountability and about the government reporting to the people what was spent and so on, and I'm sure each minister would speak to that when they speak in the budget. Do you know how much of the Tobago House of Assembly, which received all its money from its allocation last year, do you know how that money was spent? Do you know, do we as Tobagonians know how much was spent on recurrent expenditure? Did they use all the recurrent money on recurrent expenditure? Did they spend all their monies in capital development? What about that loan funding, that the $300 million where the former PNM would have used $165 million. There's still $135 million there to be accessed. Have they accessed the money?
Well, Dr. Phil Bajel actually spoke to that this morning with regards to that loan refinancing situation. But I just think the people deserve to understand the transparency.
Why wasn't it used, or why isn't it being used? Why isn't the House of Assembly accessing it? And again, did she tell you how did they spend their monies last year? You see, it's not only about central government being open and accountable. We all must be. I think the Tobago House of Assembly that's responsible for these areas of development in Tobago need to also report to the people as to how that money is being spent. We don't know if all was spent. We don't know if there's a saving. But they did with the unspent balances that they met in 2021. And from 2021 coming over into 2022, we don't know. So even when the PNM was empowering Tobago, as a parliamentarian, I kept saying the same way we are made as parliamentarians to come and sit before Joint Select Committee and ask questions and the public see, I think Tobago should have that too, because people ought to be a part of the whole development process.
All right, and we could go back and forth as to who is doing what, but however, let's come now to your Ministry of Sport. In the budget, $7.27 million for youth agricultural programs and $39 million for community sports events. Yes. And I want to go further. 19 million for community arts and crafts. Yeah. Here what I'm asking of you, given that you are Minister of Sport and of course Youth and Community Development. Tobago, this is a large slice that Tobago can benefit from. How do you intend to get portion, and this is what I'm asking, a simple question. How do you intend to work with this offering so that Tobago can benefit? Let's start with the arts and crafts.
I'll continue to do what I have been doing the whole time, which is whatever programs we run in Trinidad, we also run in Tobago. Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy Competition, we get a $6 million budget. That's also run in Tobago and financed by the Ministry of Sports and Community Development. You know very well, because you've seen me over here several times giving out checks and assisting different groups and so on with their sporting programs, and that's what that's all about. You saw here in Tobago during the July-August period the sports camps. That was from the Ministry of Sports and Community Development allocation, where we had 13 sports camps and over 1,000 Tobagonian children. All that spending came from the central government. We work hand in hand with the THA, but the spending was from us. So that's not going to stop. That's going to continue. We're happy for an increased allocation as we ramp up sport in schools. A couple of days ago, we worked with secondary school track and field body to do middle distance running in Tobago. We launched that. Just last week, we sponsored the Trinidad and Tobago Archery Federation hosting the Caribbean and Central American region in Tobago, paying for the hotel rooms, paying for all of that, the same for Commonwealth Youth Games. And we would continue to host and continue to support community groups and national governing bodies in the work that we're doing.
All right, agriculture, 7.27 billion for agriculture programs for youth. Obviously, an opportunity here for careers in agriculture.
Right, that's, I'm not in youth anymore. That's Ministry of Youth and National Development. Youth Development and National Service, sorry, that's Foster Cummins. I know he has been coming over here and meeting with the Chief Secretary and so on. So I hope that the Tobago House of Assembly jumps on board and collaborates, because you can't on one end be cussing the central government and saying, what do you come here for? I see this one here up in here, what are you doing here? And telling you stay at bay. But then you can't push us away and call us to the table at the same time. Lawrence said yesterday, Lawrence Hislop said yesterday, Senator Hislop, that we have to get to a place of speaking more peacefully and developing a more harmonious relationship for the betterment of Tobago, because politicians going to spar and go back and forth and so on. But if we don't operate properly and peacefully, it affects the development of Tobago, because you can't tell the government, don't come here, we don't want it, we don't want nothing from you. And then at the same time, the people need the help, the people need the support, and we are willing to work hand in hand with you like we have been doing.
All right, we go for a quick break, and when we come back, we continue our conversation. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, education got the largest slice, and of course, you as the representative, what you would want to do. All right, so let's go for the break. When we come back, lots more.
In the engine room we go jamming steady. In the engine room we go get on wase.
Are you having problems with IBS, burning stomach, acid reflux, bloating, and ulcers? Get effective relief with Kyodophilus Enzyme Plus Probiotics. A lesser known fact is that more than 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. So, improve your overall health by addressing it at the source with Kyodophilus Enzyme Plus Probiotics, because a healthy gut is a major step towards better living. Look for it at leading pharmacies and health stores near you. For more information or to get yourself Kyodophilus Enzyme Plus Probiotics, just call or WhatsApp 728-0338.
Are you flood ready? Recycle and properly dispose of large waste. Avoid sweeping yard clippings or trash into drains. Plant trees to avoid soil erosion. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. Tatil, where people are people.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago News.
We go jamming steady. In the engine room we go get on wase. In the meantime, why don't you join the line, grab your bottle
All right, welcome back. And we continue our conversation with Mrs. Shamfa Cudjoe Lewis. And of course, we are having, and of course, MP for Tobago West, and of course, Minister of Sport
and Community Development.
All right, Jumani, you had a point you wanted to treat.
Yes, and I want to apologize to our viewers if you all wasn't particular, you all weren't particular hearing what was taking place, but we apologize for that little technical glitch there. But yes, so we're speaking to your role as the MP as well for Tobago West, and what would be how does that work in terms of what is allocated and your spend in your particular district? Is that something totally different from the budget arrangement?
You see, for central government, we don't spend according to districts. The bulk of the development in Tobago is under the Tobago House of Assembly. As ministries, they don't tell you, because you're the member for La Hoqueta, you had to spend this money in La Hoqueta. It's a national program where one country is one pie, and we have to develop different areas of the country and in different disciplines. So as member of Parliament for Tobago West and a member of the cabinet also, our business is to ensure that Tobago benefits from what the central government is offering. Like for instance, when we first assumed duties in 2015, Tobago was cut off from self-help. So it's our business to get Tobago back on self-help. We're back on self-help now. Let's talk about the tourism accommodation upgrade program, all run by central government. The funding is coming from there that helps the tourism accommodation facilities or hotels and so on when they're upgrading to get 50%, 40% support to upgrade their rooms and so on, taxes off and so on, to import equipment and so on for their different rooms and their facilities, making sure that Tobago is part of the programming. Pension, the ferry, the ferry service, having 2 spanking new ferries, that's as a result of representation at the level of the cabinet. The fire station in Tobago East, or the police station in Tobago East and West, all those programs were installed when we were in opposition. So it's the work that you do at the level of the cabinet that helps to get funding, that helps to get programs to Tobago. The agriculture grants, Tobago wasn't a part of that before. Now you have the $100,000 grant given to persons in agriculture who are looking at modernizing their farms. And the list goes on and on and on. Support from NLCB for sporting groups, for cultural groups, support from Sport and Culture Fund, like we had this dance group that just went to New York, supported by the Sport and Culture Fund. Programs from different community groups, sporting groups, cultural groups, all of that is taken care of nationally also.
Okay,
So,
but before you go further, you mentioned the ferry, and the last time you sat here on set with us, you mentioned that tenders were out. What is the latest with that?
That the Minister of Works would report in his speech to the Parliament, so I don't want to take his thunder.
Okay.
Let him do his reporting as to where he's going to.
So Dr. Faith was here and said, and did speak about, well, we asked about the Scarborough Secondary School, your alma mater, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Obviously slipping away into the sea, and there's a new location. However, funding is an issue in terms of where they need to source this funding. From you as Minister, what is the approach going forward treating with this current secondary school?
I'll tell you something, Brother B and Tobagonians. This 4% that, this 4+% that Tobago House of Assembly is getting this year is the same allocation that all the other Tobago House of Assemblies worked with before. I sat down and I looked at the figures over the years, and it's based on priority, what you see as priority. In the past, the Tobago House of Assembly had done health centers with this, out of the same 4%, community centers out of the same percent. That fancy looking Scarborough Health Center, all of that is done by the Tobago, was done by the Tobago House of Assembly. Schools from that same amount. So not to list all these things and say you don't know where you're getting the money from. When you wanted to build a stage in the sea, you made that a priority. And from your development money, you built that stage in the sea. And hopefully you've paid the contractor who built the stage on the sea. That was your priority. You said, should I fix Bad Rock or build a stage in the sea? And you chose to build a stage in the sea. You have young people coming out of university, young people who need to be trained in business development and so on. And you have your development money and say, do I train these young people to develop more businesses in Tobago, support Tobago contractors, provide business grants for them, so that whenever you have problems with the boat, we can count on at least 20 chefs in Tobago to bake bread in Tobago. You took that decision to say, you know what, we're going to pay bloggers and people to shape the narrative instead. At the end of the day, it's based on your priority, and that's the beautiful thing with the Tobago House of Assembly. They have the liberty to say, this is the 4% that we've gotten. We are going to spend it on X or on Y. And we as Tobagonians have to stop playing politics and look at our development. And where is our House of Assembly going? And how is it spending its money? Do you know? Has the House of Assembly reported to you how this money has been spent? And I think that that is important.
All right, so you just said a key point there, and everyone looking on is saying, all right, so you said, let's stop playing the politics. These children at Scarborough Secondary School needs a space for their school and their development.
So maybe a good thing to do would be to access the funding in the $135 million, which was not accessed in 2020, 21, 2022, or in 2022, 2023. I hope the House of Assembly look to that. And let's also state, based on your development program, you can also come back at mid-year, just like the Assembly came back at mid-year and got an additional $100 million. You remember that? I don't hear anybody talking about that. The Minister of Finance stated, we do not make oil prices. We are takers. We are not price makers. We're price takers. So, and it's a very volatile situation as it relates to that. So it affects our revenue. And said this budget would take us to mid-year. And when we get to mid-year, we will reassess our situation and go again. So I'm hoping that in this first 6 months that the Assembly assesses where it needs to go, what it's going to spend on, and say, okay, at mid-year we're going to come back just the same way they were able to come back with the $100 million in this year. So for me, the Assembly needs to say to Tobagonians, what is priority? What are we heading? In this money that we got these last 2 years, what did we do with it? Do Tobagonians know? Was there a session where they accounted to Tobagonians how they spent their recurrent expenditure and their capital expenditure, and what was saved and what was not saved? I think that information needs to be placed in the public space so that we can all account and know where we're heading in our development.
I want to just finish with the school because this is critical. What do you propose as Minister of Tobago West to have the schools constructed within the shortest space of time? Because at the end of the day, these children are without a space.
I think the Tobago House of Assembly needs to, one, make it a priority. And two, there are so many different things that they can do to explore. One, making it a priority with the finances that they have on hand. We don't know what they have left in unspent balances, I say. So I can't give them a direction or even an idea. First thing first, I can't direct them at all. They are the Tobago House of Assembly. They have their autonomy. And the authority to do what they please. At the end of the day, it's about making it a priority project and directing the finances towards that. Do we build a beach volleyball facility, or do we do that? And I think the beach volleyball facility was an exceptional idea, and we're going to get more business as it relates to that. It's the same way you sit and you decide what's a priority and what is not, what we're going to start now and then approach the government at mid-year for additional funding, what we want to do in public-private partnership. You see, it's one thing to say we're going to ride in there and we're going to fix it. Now with the same 4%, you came in to fix it, but you don't have a plan to fix it. And here you're at 50% of your time. 2 years have passed, and we're looking for where did you use your development money? Where did you use the money allocated to you? Because you could shift it development or recurrent as you please, and we want to see what have you done. Bloggers could tell that they were paid and they're on the payroll shaping the narrative. There was a stage in the sea. There are other things being done that people don't know what the procurement process was like, who the contractor was, has the contractor been paid or not. But what we know is Tobago contractors are suffering. And has this new Assembly build up new businessmen of a Jumani, of a Brother B, of a somebody in my community to say, okay, in Better Village, I know I have 10 new contractors based on a program of this government, of this Tobago House of Assembly, even if it's in landscaping for the different housing development. There's so many different skills. All people are people rich in skills and rich in ideas. And I think that is where the Tobago House of Assembly comes in directing its finances to build entrepreneurs.
We got to sneak in one more and then we got to leave it there.
Yeah, in just in terms of the building that relationship, is there an agenda or a schedule in terms of when you would meet with the division of sport, or even a leader in the
I think
THA?
we meet and talk when necessary. I would say coming out of Commonwealth Youth Games, it hasn't been the best relationship, because you have seen how hard I tried trying to get a meeting, you know, and I hope that lessons would have been learned from that experience. I don't have any beef with anybody. I'm not at war with anybody. I've heard Dr. Faith Brebner and the likes of the PDP or TPP or whatever they call themselves at this moment say we are at war, and they use terms like this is a weapon against the people of Tobago. We need to settle down and get to the business that matters, which is developing Tobagonians and developing Tobago. I know I am not at war, and the central government is not at war with Tobago, but it makes good politics for them. They came in without a plan, don't know what to do or where they're heading. So the best thing to do is to make people feel that the central government suffering here, and it takes the attention out of us Tobagonians, asking them, where are you going with our lives and our development? What are you doing? How many new entrepreneurs have you produced? What kind of training have you done for people? How many Tobagonians have you granted scholarships? Who are they? Why is it that contractors from Trinidad seem to be getting the work and we can't see way over here? You know, it takes away that direction, and it's that thing, and it makes people think that, oh, they're suffering we and so on, and have people caught up in this negativity whilst they waste our time.
All right, we got to leave it there. We want to thank you for being with us this morning, and of course, well, we look forward to a cordial relationship to get the business of Tobago done.
Always a cordial relationship from